What's going on, Clutch Crew sports fans? Zach back here with another episode, and this is going to be a special episode. This will be our first ever top 10 episode. We also have a special guest on this episode, so stay tuned for that, guys. Now let me introduce you to the rest of the crew.
What's up, guys? I'm Connor. You know me as the co-host with the most, and I am excited for our first top 10 list.
Hey guys, it's Nate here, big football guy, and just to let you know, these rankings are facts, not opinions.
Ooh, dang, Nate.
All right, what's up, guys? My name is Drew. So I guess I'm the special guest. I don't really have a cool intro like them, but I go by CA Analysis on YouTube. So check out my channel, I guess. Thanks.
Yeah, we'll definitely link your channel, your Twitter account in the description for our episode. Drew, it's good to have you on here, man. We've been in communication for a couple weeks now, and finally getting to do this thing. So that's pretty cool. I checked out your video today about the Thunder. Thought it was really good. Unfortunately, though, I'm a Trailblazers fan, so I'm not a good Thunder fan, but Mike Eric, the co-host on the show, who's not here, he's a Thunder fan, so I told him to watch the video. He liked it though. He thinks you're definitely right on with that information. But everybody, I was just gonna say, everybody go check out Drew's channel. He puts out a lot of good NBA videos. Even though the league's suspended for now, I know when it comes back, he's definitely gonna come out with some more stuff. So happy to have you on, man.
Thanks.
All right. So, like we said, this is our first top 10 list that we've ever really done formally for an official video. So, Drew's getting to take part in the first one. Basically, we have 3 different questions or topics that we came up with, 2 sports related, 1 non-sports related. And we just all kind of individually ranked our top 10 choices, and a couple of things we've combined a little bit to have like a consensus on, but we'll start with the NBA, and we'll start with our consensus list. So this is between myself, Connor, and Nate. Our consensus average has Giannis as the best player in the NBA right now, Kawhi is the second best player, Kevin Durant is the third best player, LeBron James fourth, Anthony Davis fifth, Steph Curry 6th, James Harden 7th, Damian Lillard 8th, Nikola Jokic 9th, and Jason Tatum 10th. So we'll get into our individual fluctuations for that later on, but since Drew's on as our guest here, I'm going to let him start off with his... Oh, we also have Doncic as an honorable mention. But Drew, go ahead and tell listeners about your list and why you have certain players ranked ahead of others.
All right, I think I'm gonna go 1 to 10 because I feel like 1 to 10 is easier, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
All right, so with my list, because when I saw the list with Katie and Steph on their list, I forgot that. So for my list, I basically had it so that players, it's only for the 2020 season. Because if I was making a list with all the players, I would have had Katie and Steph. But since they were hurt, since Steph was hurt for most of the year, and Katie didn't miss the entire year, I took those players out. For Giannis, he's been the game, his play has been amazing. I think the Bucks were on pace for 70 games. Giannis is doing all this without a superstar because he has Middleton. Middleton's pretty good, but the other players on this list have for the most part a really good teammate with them, a superstar one. Giannis is he's been probably the Bucks' best defender. He's the best offensive player on the Bucks, and he's just been leading them. He's just been leading them to wins. So I feel like Loki by far for Giannis, but that's why I have him at number 1. And then for Braun, I mean, you don't really have to say anything about LeBron. It's LeBron James. He's 30. I mean, I didn't have him as my MVP, but he's doing MVP type things right now. LeBron, he's been stepping up on defense a lot. There's the last couple of years. One of the critiques for him is that he doesn't try on defense as much, but this year he's been a really good defender. So I can keep it short with LeBron. For Kawhi, so between Kawhi and AD, I feel because PG missed a lot of games and Lou Williams has been good, but he hasn't been as efficient as he was in previous years. So Kawhi has had to do a little bit of carrying on his end on the Clippers, and he's been missing games as well. So just the fact that like Kawhi is still probably the best two-way player in the league. Kawhi's just doing Kawhi things. So I think it's pretty obvious why he's number 3. For Anthony Davis, he was probably on pace to win Defensive Player of the Year. The other partner with on LA. Is he the best center in the league? Is AD a center or is he power forward?
I think he's technically a power forward.
Okay. Well, then he's the best power forward in the league.
Yeah.
AD's always put up huge numbers, but it was always about his winning. And now that he's paired up with LeBron in LA, like we can finally see his play on a big stage.
Mm-hmm.
But there's no question about his winning and his impact. Now, I don't know if I'm gonna catch heat for this, but like I don't know. I don't know if I had told you guys. I'm a Thunder fan, and like it was really after like what the Trailblazers did to the Thunder like the last season. It was really refreshing to see. It was really refreshing to see Russ come back and hoop. Because at the beginning of the year, like I was tuning in for the Rockets, just watching them because like I was a Russ fan, and like it was looking rough. Like he was mad and inefficient, and like I think it was like when he had, I don't know if some people noticed, he had like a little Russ had like a little finger thing, like a finger strap, a strap on his finger because he had finger surgery, and like it was like the moment he took it off, he just started hooping. And then when they traded Clint Capella, he got all the space. And like, I mean, even though Russ is like what 30, like Russ still might be like one of the fastest players in the league even now. So like the fact that you're giving him one-on-one coverage at sometimes, because people still like double Harden, even with Harden's struggles. I'm gonna get to that later. Like they're still doubling Harden. You can't give Russ a 4-on-3 every time. He's gonna score every time. So that's why. Between like if you have Luka over Russ, like I guess because Luka was he was hooping for a lot longer, but the reason why I had Russ over Luka was because Luka got hurt a couple weeks ago, and like while he was hurt, the Dallas Mavericks were obviously struggling. So I mean, if you have Luka above Russ, I'm not mad at that, but that's why I had Russ above Luka. Now on to Luka, like so. Luka being, because I have a friend that is like he's a huge Luka fan, like he's crazy, like a crazy Luka fan. Every time Luka does something, he's always talking about it. But when Luka, like this year, I remember people talking about how the Mavericks want to be like a playoff team, and I think they were talking about how he was going to be MVP or not MVP, but like MVP conversations, and it was crazy at the time. But like especially at the beginning of the year, Luka was like doing stuff that we hadn't seen before. He had averaged like he was like averaging a 30-point triple double, like mad, like efficiently from everywhere, and like he's really good. I was thinking of talking about the best players to build around, and like I feel like Luke was number one because he just offensively there's not really a flaw in his game, and he was low key carrying when Porzingis went out. When Porzingis, because at the beginning of the year Porzingis was playing pretty bad, or I guess not pretty bad. He was playing below his standards, I should say. For James Harden, like I don't know if I don't know if I had him too low, but because I watched so many Rockets games, I saw like a lot of times it felt like James Harden wasn't what's the word? He wasn't aggressive enough. Like they would throw a double team at him and like he would like sway off. But what really like dropped him down the list for me was like his January, because during his January, like James Harden was really bad. But because he was so good in like the beginning of the year, he's still averaging like 35. Like no matter what I'm saying about James Harden, he's still probably one of the best scorers of all time. And that I think he probably is averaging like 35. He was on pace to average like 40, but because of the month of January, his average dropped to 35. It's crazy. For Damian Lillard probably should be higher, but he got hurt. I think he got hurt like right before All-Star break. Mm-hmm. But when like Damian, how do I say this? Before the 2019 season, I thought Damian Lillard was good, but watching the playoffs, like he went to another level. Before then, I wouldn't have considered him a superstar, but like he really changed my mind on that. I'm not gonna lie to you. Damian Lillard's been he's been really good, especially the second half. No, not second half. The second half of pre All-Star break, he was like going on a tear. He was averaging like 40 points his last couple games, and he was trying to will the Portland Trailblazers to a playoff spot because CJ hasn't been really hooping. I feel like that's just from like a distant view. I feel like CJ McCollum usually. I feel like in years past it was always Dame and CJ, but this year it felt more like is Dame gonna drop 60? Is Dame gonna drop 50 type thing? For the last two spots, I wasn't really sure who to put. I think looking at it now, maybe I should have put Tatum, but like I wasn't sure for the last two. So I feel like you got to put Jokic in there. I think the Nuggets are a top 3 seed. They might not be, but Jokic is all Jokic leads that team. One of the best playmakers of all time. Not even just centers. He's obviously I think obviously he's the best playmaking center of all time. But so he's an efficient scorer. The Nuggets are another team that don't have I forgot to include Dame. So Dame, Giannis, and Jokic all don't have like superstar teammates. So and Siakam too. So Jokic is leading the Nuggets to a top 3 seed without a superstar teammate. They're always good. The thing is with that, the Nuggets are one of those teams that people are never going to believe in until they do it type thing. Because they don't really have they have like Jokic is I don't know if you include Jokic as a superstar. I have him as like a high tier star. But like the Nuggets, they don't have a superstar closer, which I think is more important than just a superstar. Which is why like I felt like the Pelicans didn't get as much success as they wanted, because at the end of the game, like you can't really give Jokic the ball and tell him to get you a bucket. So that's kind of why like they were I think they were hoping like Jamal Murray could be it or Michael Porter Jr. But until they can step up and accept that role, I feel like the Nuggets are like they're gonna be like a good regular season team, maybe like a second round. But I mean, they were like a game away from the Western Conference Finals, so maybe not. And for 10, I had Siakam. I think the Raptors they've won more games this year than they did last year with Kawhi, which is crazy. Kawhi's obviously a superstar, and a lot of people thought they would fall off. I think a lot of people like ESPN predicted like the 4th seed or something, and Siakam just like stepped up. Like he's put himself into the superstar conversation. When before he was more like a up and coming player. They projected him to be an all-star. Now like I can actually see the progression of him being a superstar. It's funny because I think like 3 or 4 years ago, Siakam wasn't even a good shooter. Like he wasn't that good of a shooter. But now he's not an elite shooter, but he's become a better shooter. So it's interesting. Siakam, he's really stepped up. But I think that's my top 10 list.
Very good, man. Lots of good takes there. Although I probably would disagree with you about Russ being ranked that high, but that's my bias probably as a Trailblazers fan. But yeah, here guys, I'll show you guys my list. So I'll go in the same order as Drew did from 1 to 10. I won't spend too much time on some players like LeBron. I'm just going to gloss over because it's LeBron. But yeah. So and I also kind of interpreted this a little bit differently because I didn't interpret it as this specific season because obviously Giannis is having the best statistical season out of all these people, but these are really more so my rankings of if everybody was healthy and everything and I was just like picking a team, like this is what I would want my team's order to be sort of thing. So number 1, I gotta have KD, 2-time finals MVP. Dude's just a offensive threat, shooting from everywhere on the court, unstoppable at times. Obviously, he's number 1 for me. I've got Kawhi at number 2 just because of that crazy run he went on last year in the playoffs, won that championship. I really didn't think they would. And the fact that he's the best two-way player in the game also bumps him up to number 2. And then Giannis at number 3. He's having a great season. He is doing it by himself, which I do give him credit for with no real superstar on his team, but he's really just got to do it in the playoffs for me. And there's certain aspects of his game, like free throw shooting and 3-point shooting, that if they were improved just a little bit, he could really get boosted higher on my list. But obviously can't argue with the success he's had this year. I've got LeBron at 4 just because the reason I have him down at 4, age. I just don't think he's going to be that great after having to play a lot of games and stuff. So his durability is a factor in my mind. AD at 5 just because this is the first year we've really seen him play winning basketball with the Lakers. He's still, though, the best center in the game, or technically, I guess, power forward, but still really good. That's why he's ranked number 5. I think Drew had him at 4 or 5 too. So Steph, the best 3-point shooter in the game, obviously, he's got to be here at 6. Injured this season, but this just shows you how important he is to the Warriors. I mean, they won a championship before KD got there, so he's 2-time Finals MVP. Can't argue that. Harden, I've got at 7. Similarly to you, he's having a down year this year, and really his game is one-dimensional, and it gets exposed in the playoffs too. That's why I have him at 7. I am a Trailblazers fan, but I'm not going to be biased here and put Dame at number 1. I've got him at 8, which I think is the right place for him, just because he is a little bit limited with his size, but shooting wise, he's up there with Steph. He's up there with Steph in a lot of things. Steph is just a little bit better than him at most things, but Dame, can't argue his clutchness either. Definitely number 1 in clutch. Jokic, I've always been a fan of Jokic. Really the only knock on him, in my opinion, is just his endurance. He's just not as fit as a lot of the other players are. But if he could get, if he could build up more endurance and stuff, he would be a lot better towards the end of games. Like you said, they need a closer on that Nuggets team, but as a playmaker, he's definitely great, and the Nuggets are a top 3 seed, like you said. And then Tatum, he's really been surprising me a lot. I didn't expect to see this type of a leap from him, but he's definitely the best player in the Celtics, who are also overperforming in my estimation. But definitely Siakam. I was really weighing between Tatum and Siakam at my number 10 spot, but that's my list from 1 to 10 guys. Let me know what you think of it compared to Drew's, and then we'll get to Connor and Nate's here. So, Connor, you can go through your list now.
Yeah, so I guess I'll do the same 1 to 10. Giannis number 1. I know if you guys watched our episode a couple episodes back where Zach and I had our Giannis debate, you know that I'm pretty high on Giannis. So I have him at number 1. Obviously having a great season. I mean, was on pace for a second straight MVP if the season hadn't gotten canceled here, or not canceled but postponed. Then Kawhi,
something we don't.
But yeah, then Kawhi at number 2, like you and Drew hit on that he's the best 2-way player in the game, and even though he does load manage, I still think he's still a great player. LeBron, I was really debating between KD and LeBron, like between 3 and 4. And I just went with LeBron at number 3 just because this year, like Drew said, he has been better on defense, but the age is just a factor. Like, I don't know how long he's going to be able to keep it up. I think he's kind of been reinvigorated this year since, Anthony Davis came with him to LA, but I'm not sure if he's going to be the same way next season. And then, so I have KD at number 4, mainly because Wall, I think he's definitely, in terms of like pure talent and what he's done in the past, I feel like KD could definitely be 2, maybe even challenging Giannis for number 1. But, he had the Achilles injury that he went through at the end of last season that he's still dealing with, and he got injured last year too. So I'm interested to see, I need to see him come back from all these injuries that he's had and still perform at a high level. Because like I said, not only was he injured at the end of, before the playoffs last season, then he got injured in the playoffs after he came back, and a really serious injury at that. So I still want to see what KD does when he comes back. But if he performs at a high level again, then I will, if we ever do this again, then I'll jump him back up to either 1 or 2. Anthony Davis, best power forward in the game. Like Zach said, he's finally winning this season. I mean, maybe that's because he's got LeBron on the team too, but he's just dominant. There's not a lot of guys in the league that can stop him. I mean, even when he was going against LeBron was on Giannis quite a bit, but even Anthony Davis was doing a good job going against Giannis, and Giannis is a great defender. So I got Steph Curry at number 6 here. Like I said, best 3-point shooter. The only knock on Steph for me, why I wouldn't have him, if he was a better leader and I guess, I know Eric's talked about this before, a better, playoff performer. It seems like Steph, he performs, but he doesn't perform as well as he should in the playoffs. So, and, because KD got the Finals MVP both times that he was there, and then obviously Iguodala got it the one time that KD wasn't there. So, if he can start getting better in the playoffs, he can definitely move up ahead of Anthony Davis. I got Damian Lillard at number 7 just because I like his leadership qualities, and Drew was saying, he doesn't have CJ McCollum's been okay this year. He hasn't been great, so Damian Lillard's really been doing his best to try and keep this Portland Trailblazers team afloat. We got Luka Doncic at number 8. Zach and Nate don't have him on their list, but I have him on mine because, I mean, Rookie of the Year last year, and just he was in the MVP conversation this year, so I had to give him respect. I got James Harden at number 9. I'm sure a lot of people would disagree with how low he is on my list, but I know I don't know. It's like the 38 points a game is great, but when you're playing like next to zero defense, and, you know, even then the Rockets aren't winning when you're doing that. Like, you know, they're still in the playoffs, but they were on a serious downturn there before the season got postponed. So I think it's going to be one of the reasons why Harden's going to finish his career without a ring. And then Jokic has number 10. I know Zach has mentioned that he thinks that Jokic is the best center in the league, which, I mean, it's kind of hard to argue against that right now. So, but yeah, he does need to work on that endurance. So that's my top 10 list. I probably would have had Jason Tatum 11. I know he was on our consensus list, but it was like between him and Siakam for number 11. So he was close on my list.
Yeah. Same with Luka. He would have been mine 11 too. But all right, Nate, show us your list here.
All right, so I'll go through mine pretty quick. Y'all have kind of given a good like overview most of these guys, but I think Giannis is a pretty obvious choice for number 1. He's been dominating the NBA for a couple of years now. LeBron, I think, still is one of the best players in the game, even at 34. I don't see a whole lot of other guys like do what he does on a nightly basis, so I'm gonna go with him at 2. I think Kawhi is still as good as anybody, you know, 2 ways, even though he, like y'all said, he does take load management, so I gave him kind of a knock for that. He's not doing it every night like other guys. But like Zach said, KD has skills that very few, if any, other NBA players have right now. The only knock I gave to put him at 4th is coming back from the injury. Like, hopefully he comes back to, you know, his pre-injury form, but that's kind of a big question mark for me right now. Anthony Davis has been dominating for the Lakers, giving that, you know, 1-2 punch and making them so deadly. Harden can, you know, score with anybody, like y'all said. I'll put him at 6. At Lillard at 7. Just like what you guys are saying, I think he's definitely like deserves a lot more credit than I think he gets nationally, but just, you know, a couple spots below those really premier guys. I put Jokic at 8th as the best center in the league. I got Tatum at 9th, which is higher than everybody else, but I think he's definitely shown the potential to reach superstar status. He hasn't necessarily hit it like as consistently as you'd like to see. He hasn't totally like put the Celtics on his back or anything like that, but I think he's very close to getting to that level. So I put him at 9th right now. And then Steph coming back from the injury. He's definitely still obviously a top 10 player. So hopefully he can get back to that pre-injury form.
All right, good list there, Nate, and same with you, Connor. But let us know which list, I guess, in the comments that you find the best. Is there any player that we didn't mention at all that you'd put in your top 10? Maybe Donovan Mitchell, I think, would be one option for that. But yeah, so we're gonna go to another totally different subject here. Totally different.
Do a complete 180.
Seriously. So I was thinking of this a while back and decided this would be a good suggestion for our top 10. So if you're not the greatest sports fan, this is definitely going to be a much more entertaining segment for you. Basically, the question is, if you had to like survive in Alaska for a long period of time, like what would be the 10 things that you would bring with you? So these aren't necessarily ranked from 1 to 10. It's just sort of like you get 10 different things and you can have them. So Drew, you can start us off here with your list. You've got the pictures here and just explain kind of why you picked each thing.
All right. So first I'll go for the jacket. So in Alaska, it's mad cold. So I was like thinking you need to get you need to get a huge jacket to stay warm.
Yeah.
And then that's self-explanatory. And then for the hatchet, you can use it because since there's not, I didn't get any food because I feel like you don't need any. with the hatchet, you can use that to like kill any animals. I don't know what's in in Alaska, but you use that to kill any animals. If you, yeah, you could try to kill bears.
I don't know if a hatchet's gonna be the best thing for them, but yeah,
maybe a baby bear.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can use that, and then you need like a house. I don't know if I thought that one through, but what I was thinking is like if you made like an igloo. I've never even tried to make that before, but if you try to make it,
it works.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, but I guess so. Yeah, if you try to make an igloo, yeah, so I would use the hatchet to make an igloo for a home, and then what was that supposed to be? I think that's a lighter.
Yeah, lighters.
Okay, so yeah, you need to stay warm in Alaska. It's really cold, so is there any like woods in Alaska? Like
yeah,
wood?
Oh yeah, tons.
Yeah.
This is in Greenland.
So
yeah,
I'm horrible at geography.
It's okay.
So,
yeah.
So I would definitely go collect some wood, some firewood, and light it up, get a fire, stay warm, relatively so, and because with the if you don't and if you don't want to eat bears, that's why I have the fishing hook right there, because there's lots of fish. You just gotta hopefully I don't know if the fishing rod could survive I feel like the water is like really cold though, but
I think it could if you had the right line and stuff.
Yeah. The water is actually warmer down at the bottom because that when the ice freezes up, it freezes, but it traps the temperature down there, so it doesn't get even colder. So that's why fish can live. That's why ice forms at the top and fish are living at the bottom because it stays at a certain temperature below freezing. So there's plenty of fish there, man.
That's all right. I didn't even know that.
Lots of salmon.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm never gonna run out of food, and I was just thinking about if I wanted how I live right now, and what are the best items to get that can make me live normally, and I don't know about you guys, but I need toilet paper.
Before you go any further, are you having success getting it right now?
Yeah, I was just about to say I don't need toilet paper the way that these people the people need. They're thinking 50, but you definitely need toilet paper.
Yeah,
it's gonna be rough. And sleigh dogs. So to travel. I don't really know why I need a sleigh dog, but I feel like they're cool.
Protection company.
Yeah, protection. I don't even know if
they can scare off the bears.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if it gets rough, that's emergency food. So gotta keep it on. I'm not condoning it. I'm just saying.
Yeah. You gotta do what you gotta do.
Yep.
Yeah. So then you have the torch light. So a torch, I was thinking of a generator, but I chose a torch lighter because you get that warmth. But for a generator, I don't know what you need a generator for type thing.
Wouldn't it run out eventually? How are you gonna recharge it too?
Exactly. So I just went with a torch light and just keep yourself warm. For the boots, if you're in some tennis shoes, you're not moving anywhere. You need boots. You need to be able to walk, to run in case the bears are after you. You just need to be able to climb terrain because it's rough in Alaska. Why did I ask for a bucket?
I don't know. Bucket and soap was your last.
He's like, why did I ask for this? I put it on the list, but
okay, I can tackle those two. So soap, I'm not trying to smell. I feel like you probably if you went a year, I don't know how long you'd be in Alaska for. If you're in Alaska for a year and you're not showering, you're probably there's probably something growing on you. So some sort of I'm good on that. So yeah, you take a shower. I guess you can use the bucket for I guess yeah. So you go to a pond. I don't know if it's a pond. You go to a fishing area and you get some water from the bottom and it's warmer and you use soap. And even I was thinking So I would use you could use the fire if the water was too cold. You could use the fire to heat up the pot or the bucket to heat up the water so you have decently warm water. So you use that to shower. Yeah. I don't know if you could drink it. Is the Alaska water fresh?
Well, if you boil it, then it should kill all
the.
That's why I made it a metal bucket for you so you can do
that. The bucket was nice. The bucket was crucial. All right, I knew what I was doing.
Yeah. All right, guys. There's Drew's list. Comment below how long does Drew live with this list.
Oh yeah, that should be a good thing. How long do each of us live?
Yeah, give us a timetable here. All right, so I'll go through my list now. I got a couple of similar things to Drew, like the lighter, self-explanatory. I don't know how to make fire from sticks, so gonna
it's pretty hard anyway, even if you do know.
Yeah, gonna bring me some lighters. Same thing with the jacket. Like this is one of the first pictures I found, but definitely a heavy duty jacket with like a knit hat sort of thing is going to be crucial to staying warm because it's going to be cold. And similarly to the bucket, I just did a pot instead. Same concept, storing water, heating water, and it stews and stuff too. You get that benefit. The gun is really for the bears because that if they come around and get you, you're gonna want a gun, and also you can go hunting with it too. Like that, you can turn some of those predators into meat. You get the knife there to skin the meat and stuff, and the fish. Gonna be pretty hard to do that without a knife, so it's gonna come in handy with a lot of different things, just like a multi-use sort of thing. The net here, I went with the net instead of the fishing pole because I feel like I could maybe make some sort of fishing pole or something out of that sort, but the net I feel like would be harder to make. So having like a net is the similar way to catch fish and survive off of. The radio here I have just for really mental state because you're going to get really lonely if you're by yourself and not hearing anybody talk. So this sort of radio you can pick up radio stations from like thousands of miles away, so you can kind of keep your sanity with this thing. So it gives you some entertainment and gives you some sort of like sense of humanity.
Hopefully a signal in Alaska.
Yeah. The axe here, like you said, for the hatchet. My goal here is thrival, not survival. I'm trying to thrive, so I'm gonna try and cut some trees down and make a structure out of it to survive in, and in the hatchet you need to do that a lot easier than with your hands. The tarp is important for a lot of different things. You can collect rainwater with it or use it as like a blanket or as a roof or something like that. I feel like it can come in handy a lot for a lot more different uses than something like a tent would. And also I'm trying to live in something better than a tent eventually. So the tent, if I had one, would be kind of short term. And then also, I don't know all the edible plants and stuff, so that's why I'd take this book about what kind of plants you can eat and what kind are going to kill you. So I know like that's going to be huge for your nutrition is eating some sort of plants that are growing around the area. So having a book about what's safe to eat, what's not, is gonna help me out in the long run. So that's those are my top 10 items I'd bring. Once again, how long would I live, or would you live with these 10 things? I think I'd do pretty good, but it is my list after all. So let's see what you guys say about it. But go over to Connor now, and you can explain some of your different things and re-emphasize what I had that you had too.
Yeah, I mean, I got most of the same stuff that Zach does. Obviously, I'm pretty sure all four of us had this coat. Like, you need a coat. That's pretty important. The gun, obviously, for hunting or fighting off bears or something like that. The only downside of the gun is definitely going to be, like, you got to conserve that ammo. But, it's definitely going to come in handy when you have it. A tarp is just so versatile. Like, you can just use it for so many different things that I feel like that was a must-have. Like, when I saw Zach was making his list and he's like, I'm doing a tarp, I'm like, yeah, that's a good idea. You should bring one of those. And then, the pot so you can, boil water or cook food, or another thing that you can do a lot of. And I also like Zach's idea about the edible wild plants book. Like, that was also a good idea. I was like, yeah, because, you can't just be eating meat all the time. You need to get some something else in your diet, and who knows if you are having a bad day fishing, or if you can't really find anything to hunt, then the edible plant book's going to come in handy. And fishing poles, lots of fish in Alaska, so should definitely be able to eat that way. So when choosing the knife, I definitely I got a picture of a Bowie knife because I don't want just any old knife. I want like a big, strong knife that you can you know, I mean, you could possibly hunt with that you can skin stuff with, that you can cut stuff. I mean, having a big, strong knife is important. And you can throw Bowie knives too. They're very versatile for how big they are. So I felt like that was the best knife choice. Maybe if I could find some with a serrated edge, that'd be a little bit better, but to cut some trees, because I'm the only one that doesn't have like a hatchet or anything. But the reason why I don't have a hatchet or an axe is because I would bring a tent, because like, you know, I feel like quick shelter, you don't have to build anything. Like, I felt like that was probably, even though like Zach said, it'd be nice to upgrade from a tent, like it's always good to have something that you can just plop up anywhere and have shelter. So then I got, for lighters, I got like, these guys had like, you know, the cigarette looking lighters. I want one of those lighters, like the long lighters that you use to light grills or something like that, because I feel like that'd be a little bit better, a little bit easier to light stuff with. And then the last thing that I had was, that little bottle right there, that's a bottle of iodine, which if you are not able to boil water or anything like that, then another way that you can purify water is by using iodine. So I felt like that would probably be a good thing to have, because, you know, you're not always going to be able to get a campfire going or be able to find the water to boil it, or, you know, stuff like that. So I feel like just having a quick and easy way to purify your water was a good idea. So
well, if you can't have the water to boil it, you're not gonna have the water to.
Well, yeah, that's true, but you know,
but I know what you mean now.
Yeah, you're not always gonna have the campfire. So, yes. But just quick and easy with the iodine. Make sure you research how long you're supposed to do it before you go. But I'm pretty sure it's like 2 or 3 drops, and then wait like a half an hour.
There's got to be instructions on that thing.
So yeah, it's
you're
like
not getting a used packet here.
No. It's like 2 or 3 drops, and then like wait a half an hour or something like that. So, but those are my 10 items. I feel like, you know, having the quick and easy shelter was good for me. So, but you know, comment below how long do you think I'll survive. I'm pretty sure I'd survive longer than any of these 3 guys, but that's up to the viewers.
Dang, man, we don't have that much stuff different on our list. It gets its personal knowledge now. All right, Nate, share with us your list. You got a combination of like all of our different things. So.
Yeah. So my number 1 spot, I got the same cozy, like warm outfit. You know, got to stay protect against the elements during the winter months. You know, Alaska's pretty brutal. Number 2, I debated putting this at number 1, but the hatchet, I debated number 1 because back in middle school I read this book where this guy like
I think I read that too.
Yeah, he survived like the whole year with like nothing but a hatchet.
Isn't that book called Hatchet?
Yeah. You can do a lot of stuff with that. You can cut down trees, you can like kill things, you can cut you know, things into pieces. So I thought it was a little bit more versatile and like strong than a knife, so I went with that as my number 2. Number 3, obviously like lighters, like everyone else put, you know, in case gonna have to make a campfire at some point, and that's a pretty reliable way of doing it. Number 4, I put the dogs. I didn't specify them as sled dogs, but I suppose you could make a sled with wood and the hatchet I got. So there's that feature, but definitely like obviously their company, they can like help sniff out food, like ward off bears. Hopefully they scare away bears. Maybe
if they're wolves, maybe.
Yeah, wolves, like fight off wolves.
Hopefully they don't go join the wolves.
Join the winning team there. But yeah, they're number 4. Thought they're pretty versatile. Number 5, go with the tent. Like Connor said, like it'd just be nice to plop up like a, you know, waterproof, like nice quality tent instead of having to build like a fort out of sticks and something like that. Thought that'd be a little bit more comfortable, a little more practical. Number 6, I went with the same guide to edible plant, just to make sure I got some variety, some flavor, and I don't die like, you know, eating poison mushrooms or something. So keep that book in the old back pocket there. Got iodine at number 7. Like Connor pretty much explained this. In case you can't make a campfire, you can make sure your water's safe to drink. Number 8, I got fishing gear, all kinds of like bait and rods and hooks, so you can hopefully get some salmon. It's a good source of food, obviously. Number 9, got a pot to cook, boil water, cook food, anything like that. tried to like keep the items I put like as versatile as possible, and a pot, you can do a lot of different things with that. And then number 10, I put the shotgun as well, just because it's like you don't have unlimited ammo, so you gotta be like smart with it. But definitely, if a bear shows up, like you gotta have something, to hopefully like kill it with, or else.
I love how bears are like the central theme of this right now.
Bears. I feel like everything else is. I mean, I guess a wolf would be pretty bad too, but maybe the dogs I brought would help with that. But I think a bear is something you definitely need a shotgun or heavier to take out. So
there's some big grizzlies there.
Well, and also if you find some of those polar bears, like they don't. You see, grizzly bears, you can get away with playing dead against those, but polar bears, man, they will not. They don't care if you play dead or whatever. They're gonna eat your ass.
Yeah, I've seen The Revenant, and I don't want to make that same mistake.
Oh man, that movie is crazy, man.
Yeah.
So Nate, you said this was a facts list, right? In the intro, this is facts. Okay. But with the dogs, I gotta ask you a question, because Drew, he brought up the possibility of, if worse comes to worse, I have the dogs to eat. Like, were you thinking that when you picked the dogs, or is that just gonna be an unintended benefit if it comes to that?
Benefit?
I'm
not sure that's a benefit
at all. Yeah, that'd be some like, I don't know. I don't know if I could, honestly. That'd be some like kind of like I Am Legend stuff, and the dog dies. Like, if you're surviving the woods and like all you got to hang out with is the dogs, like I don't know.
It's one of those things. Is like is the benefit of eating the dog greater than like the pain and the sadness that you would have from like having to kill it and then cook it and eat it?
I mean, if all you got to eat is 2 dogs and it's like the middle of winter in Alaska, like you're pretty much like postponing the inevitable. You're just gonna die like 3 days later instead of 5 minutes later. So like I don't think it'd be worth it.
Yeah. All right, well, there you go, guys. There are our 4 lists. Drew, I think, having the more luxurious lifestyle with the soap and toilet paper. And then I kind of went with the more like personal thing with the radio to try and hear some people. And we were different with the nets versus the poles. But Connor and I agreed about the knives. We all agreed about warmth and fire and the plants. So yeah, it's a good list, guys. This was fun doing that with you. And we do have one final thing now to present. So our top 10 NFL quarterbacks of all time, our Clutch Crew Sports combined list here. Tom Brady at number 1, Joe Montana at 2, Peyton Manning at 3, Drew Brees at 4, Elway at 5, Marino at 6, Brett Favre at 7, Unitas at 8, Jim Kelly at 9, and Aaron Rodgers at 10. I'll go, and then we have 3 honorable mentions here: Bart Starr, Ben Roethlisberger, and Fran Tarkenton. I'll go through mine here quickly, and really mine matched up very similar with the all-time list. I don't know how that happened, but it did. The main differences, though, really the biggest differences is I had Marino at 4. I think he's really underrated on these top 10 lists because of the kind of stats he was putting up in the era that he played in. I know he never got like the Super Bowl rings or anything like that, so that's why a lot of people disregard him. But as a pure quarterback, I think he was definitely, if he had those rings, he probably would be like number 2. But he put up insane type of Patrick Mahomes type of stats back in an era when that was uncommon. And really, when it comes down to my list, I know a lot of people are going to be like, oh, where's Aaron Rodgers? Where's Ben Roethlisberger and stuff like that? But to me, I tried to spread my top 10 through all the different eras. So the fact that Ben Roethlisberger, from the time he played, he was never really better than Brady, Brees, or Manning. If you're like the 4th or 5th best quarterback in the era that you really play in, I don't think that grants you on this list. I tried to pick a couple guys from each different era, obviously leaning more so on the present era because I've got, Manning and Brady and Brees and stuff, but definitely showing respect to Unitas there at 7 and Starr originating really the NFL back a long time ago, black and white photo there, down at number 10. But that was kind of my thought process of coming up with this list. But definitely Brady at number 1. I mean, can't argue that. And Montana over Manning just for the success, really, the Super Bowls. Otherwise, they're pretty similar, but that's my list. But really, I just wanted to mainly hit on Marino. I think he's overlooked a lot, but go over to Connor now, and he'll share his list.
Yeah, I can't wait to take heat for this because I'm sure that I'm going to take a buttload of heat for this. But so if you look at my list, I'm sure you can all point out the most glaring incident here is that I do not have Tom Brady at number 1. I have him at number 2 below Peyton Manning. So the reason why I put Montana at number 3, because, I mean, this is kind of similar to why I have Brady below Manning, but Montana, like, yeah, he won those 4 Super Bowls, but he never had as good of like the regular season stats that like Brady and Manning and, Breeze put up. And also, Montana played on a really stacked 49ers team. So, I mean, I know Roger Craig's not in the Hall of Fame yet, but he should be. I mean, he had Jerry Rice to throw to for most of the time. He had Ronnie Lott on the defense. So the 49ers were a stacked team. So I'm going to put that more on the team. Montana was obviously a clutch performer, but, you're not getting there without a team. So this is the reason why I have Brady below Manning, because yes, the 6 Super Bowls, Manning only has 2, but I did it more so because I feel like Manning, what he accomplished with more, I'll say more mediocre teams than what Brady's had around him in the past. Because I will say, I'll give Belichick his credit. I will say Bill Belichick is the greatest head coach of all time. I know we're not talking about that, but if we did a top 10 head coaches, Belichick's my number 1, because what Bill Belichick has been able to do with, virtually nobody's most of the time, it shows me that his system is perfect. And that, I mean, even though the Patriots have lost Tom Brady this year, I still think they're going to be decent because Bill Belichick's still there. But the thing is that Manning, like when he was playing in Indianapolis, I mean, he had Marvin Harrison and Reggie Wayne and Dallas Clark, but I mean, he had some pretty meh running backs during his time there. I mean, he had, Edgerrin James was good, but then he had like Joseph Adai and Dominique Rhodes and, whoever followed them. I don't remember their names because they weren't very good. So, and the other thing about the Colts is that the Colts never had a good defense. Ever. I mean, whenever you were talking about the best defenses in the league, the Colts were never mentioned, and somehow the Colts were still going like 13-3 and 14-2 because Manning was basically carrying that team. And I put a lot of faith in the fact that, if the quarterback is the real reason for why the team is doing success, then when the quarterback goes out, then the team is going to fall. When Tom Brady got injured in 2008, the Patriots still went 10-6. When Tom Brady got hurt, or when he was suspended in the start of the season, I think it was 2016 when he was suspended for 4 games, the Patriots still went 3-1 in that time with Jimmy G and Jacoby Brissett at quarterback. So, whereas, the Colts, when Peyton Manning went down, they turned around and went 2-14. So he was clearly the big reason. And also, Manning holds all the single season passing records from his time in Denver. But I'll stop going on, but that's most of my reason for Manning because I want to give Nate some time to talk. But then Drew Brees at number 4, obviously he also hasn't had the Super Bowl success, but I mean, the guy, by the time he retires, unless Brady ends up passing him, which I don't know, if they keep playing, if Brees doesn't retire before Brady, I don't think Brady will pass him. So I think Brees will have all the passing records when he retires. So, I mean, you can't overlook that. And also, just the way I'm sure the Chargers are kicking themselves for trading him over Phillip Rivers. Phillip Rivers is good too, but he's no Drew Brees. Elway at number 5, just because he did it for so long. I mean, the poor guy didn't get a Super Bowl until the end of his career, and it was kind of like Manning's second Super Bowl, where like he wasn't as big of a factor. It was more Terrell Davis and the rest of the Broncos teams, but gotta respect how long he did it. I have Marino at number 6. I was trying to debate between Marino and Elway. I guess I just had to give it to Elway because the Broncos, even though they didn't win as many Super Bowls, like they only won 2, Elway still led them to like 4 or 5, whereas Marino only led the Dolphins to 1 Super Bowl and they lost. So, but definitely like him and Brett Favre are the two, like, before Manning and Brady and Brees came along to break all those records, Marino and Favre were the ones that held those records. So you can't overlook what they did. I have Unitas at number 8. Obviously, he was like the original quarterback. I mean, even before Bart Starr was doing it, Johnny Unitas was doing it. So, gotta give mad respect to Johnny Unitas. I have Jim Kelly at number 9. I thought Kelly was a good. I mean, the Bills team was also stacked, but I mean, to lead a team to 4 straight Super Bowls and to be able to, he was the one who was in charge of that offense, calling the plays and, making everything work. So I don't see how Jim Kelly, everybody always underrates the Bills, even like the 90s Bills team. When you're talking about the greatest teams of all time, no one ever mentions the 90s Bills because they didn't win any of those Super Bowls. But you got to remember, they still made it to 4 straight Super Bowls. So you can't do that if you're not a great team. And Kelly was at the forefront of that. And then finally, a little bit of my Steelers bias. I mean, Ben Roethlisberger's a great quarterback. He's definitely up there on the all-time passing stats. He kind of fell behind Eli and Rivers this season because he was injured, but still has 2 Super Bowl rings and possibly looking to add more. Maybe here in the future, the Steelers have a chance. So I know these guys would probably rank them at like 12 or 13, but him at 12 or 13, but obviously I had a little bit of bias there, so I had to put him at number 10 above like Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
All right, so for mine, kind of no surprise here. I've got Tom Brady number 1. It's pretty clear cases of Super Bowls, the stats, just everything. He's still going at 42. He's going to add a lot more to that. Either he or Drew Brees will retire with pretty much every single passing record. So pretty obvious number 1. Number 2, we got Joe Montana over Peyton. The stats aren't as there. The stats for Montana aren't as great as Manning's, and he did play on some loaded teams. So I think usually I wouldn't go for the whole 4 rings over just because he has rings doesn't mean that he's better than Peyton. But I just when I look back, he was kind of the original clutch quarterback. Before Tom Brady came around, he did make some incredible plays, and for all the talent that was around him, I think he was really the guy that pushed him to those Super Bowls. So I'm gonna put him at number 2, just because he had the clutch factor that I don't think Peyton necessarily had for the over the course of his career. There were a few opportunities that he could have pushed the Colts and the Broncos even further, and it just didn't happen. But I'm still going to put him at number 3. He was definitely a legend in his own right. And I'm going to go with number 4. We've got Drew Brees. Like I said, either he or Brady will retire with every single major passing record, which is insane. And he's only got the 1 Super Bowl. He's got a chance to add another one with the Saints here. They're looking strong again next year, so who knows? He might be in the mix for that. That'd definitely be a big boost to his legacy. Number 5, got John Elway, because he does have the Super Bowls did come late in his career, but it's definitely he still got the rings, he still got the stats and the longevity, and everything he did in his career was really incredible. And number 6 and 7, kind of the same boat. I've got Favre and Marino, just because they retired with, at their time, they retired with all the passing records, and what they did was great. But I think when you really look back at their stats, they just threw the ball so much that it's kind of you know what I mean. They had the volume, but when you look at the quality, I don't think it compares to what Brees and Brady and these guys have done. Granted, it was kind of a different era, but I think they're definitely not they're bad quarterbacks, but I think what they did is definitely I would put a step below what those first 5 guys did.
Favre does. That's one thing that's not going to change. Favre is still going to always hold the all-time interceptions
right. Yeah, that's definitely kind of flinging around kind of guys, which was great. They definitely had their moments, but I don't think they're in the top tier those other 5 guys are. So then number 8, I've got Aaron Rodgers, just because I've kind of been not a fan of Rodgers in the past. I'm still not, but I think when you really look at his stats, that's kind of what I went down to for these last few guys to kind of figure out who I wanted in my rankings. And when you look at the stats he's put up, he hasn't even thrown 100 interceptions yet. He's just so efficient, and the throws he can make. I don't know that we've seen anybody besides now Mahomes is coming along, but the arm he has is very few. You can probably count on one hand the amount of guys who can make the type throws that he does on a routine basis. So I'm putting him at 8, and he's potentially got some room to move up past Marino and Favre if he keeps it up if he keeps it up for like another 5 years or so, he might be able to pass those guys in my book. And then number 9 and 10, I've got the old guys. I've got Fran Tarkenton at number 9. And that was kind of a surprise over Johnny Unitas at 10. But I think when I went back and looked at the stats from that era, which definitely are a little bit different to look at than stats of today's era, but I looked at the stats and I looked at what limited tape, was kind of out there on the internet. And I don't know if you ever get a chance to watch Fran's tape, like it's crazy stuff. Like he was like the original, like scrambling, like run and gun kind of quarterback. Like he was all over the place. And I think his skills, like in my book, probably would have translated to, granted, maybe the athleticism wasn't there. Like who knows, like back in that era, if you can compare it to like later decades, but I think his skill set would have translated, to later years, like kind of like guys like Johnny Manziel, like in college and stuff like that. He was definitely the precursor to that. And then Johnny Unitas at number 10. The stats and all that's tough to compare to this era, but what he did, like being the original like prototype quarterback, is you can't ignore that for sure.
All right, good list there, guys, for both of you. Drew, not the biggest NFL fan from what he told me, so he didn't make a list for this, but I'm sure you definitely heard of some of these people, right?
yeah, everyone knows Tom Brady.
Yeah, so, and then also, Drew, is this the first podcast that you've been a part of? I'm just wondering.
Yeah, I've never done anything with anyone else like on social media like this before, so this is cool.
That's awesome, man. Hopefully we can have you on again, or maybe we can come on to your YouTube channel for some sort of collaboration thing. But this is a lot of fun with all you guys. We'll be back next Monday, guys, or Tuesday, I should say. We record these on Monday, so I always have that in my brain. But yeah, we'll be back next Tuesday, like I said. The Friday shows we're gonna have to cut because of the coronavirus, but we'll be back with Sports Jeopardy hopefully next week, and then we'll have some more of these top 10s. But if you have any suggestions too, leave that as a comment. If you want to see any certain topic featured, the NBA players was actually Drew's featured topic for the show, so he got to pick that. But any suggestions are welcome. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this. Drew, thanks again for being on, man. It was great to have you and hear what you had to say for the NBA and also going to Alaska. two totally different things, but yeah, man, good to have you. Check out his channel and Twitter account. Like I said before, the links will be in the videos. Yeah, that's going to be it, guys. Thank you for watching, and remember to be clutch.
Bye.
See ya.
For Eric, peace.